Mohamed Sani Tanimu has been sacked as the Director General of Elections Cameroon. He has been replaced after a presidential decree by formerly a member of the Electoral Board, Abdoulaye Babale. We shall be giving you details in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. Prime suspects in kidnappings of 2 young girls at École de Police in Yaoundé are now behind bars, but the release of a European diplomat has sent shock waves among the population in Yaoundé. Roland Akong is on standby with that report. I'll be right back. It is always a pleasure knowing that you're watching Equinox Television and the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. Thanks for joining us. We begin with this breaking news, a presidential decree. Today, the war between Samuel Fonkam Azu, election board chair, and Mohamed Sani Tanimu has ended. The LECAM Director General has been fired. A presidential decree today names Abdoulaye Babale as new Director General, who became member of the Electoral Board in 2008. Abdoulaye Babale was born in 1942 in Maroua, Diamari Division in the far north region of Cameroon. He has a degree in public law. The presidential decree equally renewed the mandate of some members for 4 years. Babale is expected to have a cordial relationship with Samuel Fonkam Azu, and the former, who of course did not have a cordial relationship between the board chair. War in Elekam that left many wondering just how far the Cameroon elections body will go. In the nation's capital, Yaoundé, a European diplomat is now a prime suspect of kidnappings of 2 young girls at École de Police. The diplomat and other suspects were caught flagrant delito at the weekend, while other suspects are behind bars. The European has been released on bail to the amazement of the population in Yaoundé. Roland Akong has more.
Investigation is taking its course in Yaoundé on an attempt to kidnap 2 girls in the École de Police neighborhood at the weekend. A diplomat whose name and nationality we are withholding is a potential suspect of the kidnapping business. Adamu Salahatu, father of Alimatu 10 and Haruna 12, says the diplomat and his accomplice promise his 2 daughters a good life and a better future in France.
Ils vont les amener en France, ils vont les donner, ils vont prendre un bain chaud.
The white diplomat and the suspects were trapped by relatives and the population just when they were about to abduct the 2 girls.
Nous allons alors prendre le blanc et plus le jeune homme aussi.
Salahatu says he begged the population of École de Police not to administer jungle justice on the white diplomat, who has reportedly been bailed out by police commissioner.
Les gens ont voulu maintenant taper ces gens. Moi j'ai intervenu, j'ai appelé les gens d'intervenir parce qu'on devait les tuer là-bas.
The bailout, people say, shows that the police is paying brief attention to a crucial issue.
Un commissaire de police est venu en disant que lui prend garant de ces blancs, il faut qu'on laisse le blanc.
The family wants everyone responsible in the act to be brought to justice. The story, which has captivated the École de Police neighborhood, brings to mind the abduction last year of 10 children in the Briqueterie neighborhood who are still nowhere to be found. Is this not the same network of the abduction of children in Yaoundé? That is the question commentators are asking.
Thanks for that report. Meantime, the sales and wearing of the full veil, call it the burqa, has been officially prohibited in the Little region. It was among other resolutions arrived at during a security meeting held in Edeya in Sanaga Maritime Division. Our reporter Chris Toby read through resolutions after that meeting and put together the following report.
It is in the bid to strengthen security ties within the littoral region that sub-prefects, senior divisional officers as well as their auxiliaries, including top-ranking law enforcement officials, met in the Sanaga Maritime Divisional Chieftown Edeya. The main organizer, Joseph Betty Asomo, wasted no time in hitting the main point, that of reinforcing vigilance in and out of the region. Traveling by sea, land or even air should be brought under strict control, with passengers even going through thorough search. Littoral's governor warned against any laxity in territorial monitoring, adding that more elements currently under training shall soon boost up the troops. Governor Betty Asomo equally officially prohibited the sales and wearing of full veil called burqa in the entire region. This, Betty Asomo says, comes to add to other security measures put in place against Boko Haram. The meeting ended on a positive note for the Douala 5 municipality that should be electing a new mayor next August 5, the Fecafoot Delima, as well as other pertinent issues.
From Sanaga Maritime Division, we take you to Mungu now. The electricity problem in Lum is persisting as locals have been for over 3 months now without electricity. Officials in charge of electricity have remained indifferent, and even falling electric poles have been left as many are frustrated. As far as that information is concerned, Mimi Mefo takes us to Lum now to see just how the population are living in the dark.
The lives of many in Quartier Permanence of Lum are in danger. They are exposed to cables of electric poles that fell 1 month ago in the area. Motorbikes and even pedestrians managed to cross, as authorities have remained adamant about the situation. Another danger zone is in this compound where a pole fell over 8 months ago. Local residents say that they have not ceased to live in fear. The incidents have also resulted to several months of blackouts in the neighborhood. Fridges in several homes are now out of use, and religious figures have to study the Bible with the use of candles. Locals who are demanding the government to intervene complain that officials of the electricity distributing company have remained indifferent. She also says that they have continued to pay their bills in the midst of the crisis.
Back in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, where inhabitants of the Nkol-Bisson neighborhood, whose houses have been earmarked for demolition, are demanding indemnities and resettlement area. Bulldozers from the Yaoundé City Council are expected anytime soon in that locality. Roland Akon.
J'ai servi cet État, servi le parti au pouvoir. Voilà le diplôme d'excellence du meilleur militant. On ne peut pas m'humilier, hein? On ne peut pas m'humilier comme ça là, qu'on vient me mettre dehors de cette façon-là.
The demolition man of Yaoundé is expected in the Nkol-Bisson neighborhood to demolish houses said to have been constructed in slums. Scores of families are already packing out of the area before the arrival of the demolition machines of the Yaoundé City Council. Some of the expropriated families are ready to pack and go, but they are demanding a resettlement zone and a significant amount of money from the Yaoundé City Council as indemnities.
The government delegate came here. He told us that if he wants to use the land, he is going to give us 10,000 francs a meter square. Now, without seeing the money, and also that even if he's not giving us the money, he will show us where we are going to go and build another house, or where he will give us money that we will go and build there. But now we are still waiting. Money we've not seen. Now the land that we have to go and build there, we've not seen. Instead, they are saying that they are going to come and break the house.
Some families are in agony, waiting in torment and in pain, as the upcoming demolition is going to deprive them of all that give them a reason to live in Yaoundé. Compounding everything is the insignificant amount paid as indemnities by the Yaoundé City Council.
Parce que les montants qui ont été payés sont des montants catéchistes.
The expropriated families in Nkol-Bisson are blaming inundation in the area on the collapse of a small breach which can no longer contain the huge volume of water during rainfall.
It is because the bridge is blocked, it's collapsed. Now there is no way for water to circulate well. That is why when it is rainy, the place will be blocked. Then it will take a length of time before the water circulate to pass through that place. That is all the problem.
Authorities of the Yaoundé City Council did not respond to our request for comment.
If you are in Lum and you want to play professional football, that may not be possible. A local stadium is still absent in Lum over 3 years after works to rehabilitate the site were launched. Works are moving at a slow pace, leaving football lovers in frustration. Mimi Mefo.
This is the Lum Municipal Stadium, where ongoing works were due to last for 3 months after authorities prohibited entrance of football lovers in 2012. But over 40 months after, workers at the site still have to furnish the dressing room, plaster the dilapidated gates, and renovate the tribune for spectators. Even toilets are not available, and the area bearing the duration of the project has visibly been wiped out on the signposts. The contractors have failed to meet the 3 months deadline given to them by the council, and the pending project is having an impact on players. Footballers and spectators have to travel to other localities to participate and witness encounters.
La population de Lum est tellement flattée, veulent absolument que
Youths complain that the dreams of aspiring footballers are being quashed in Lum, which has groomed scores of emerging and today's iconic players. Contractors in charge of the project have assured that 90% of works have been realized, while the mayor have also announced completion in no distant time.
It will interest our televiewers to note that Lum has a League One club site, UMS of Lum. Thanks for that report. And that takes us to news out of the country. Our very first stop in Senegal, where the trial of former Chadian president at an African Extraordinary Chamber in Dakar, Senegal, has been suspended until 7th of September 2015. This comes after Mr. Habré and his lawyers failed to refused to speak to the judge. Habré was forcibly brought to court for the second day of his trial for crimes against humanity. The newly appointed lawyers have 45 days to prepare their case. They have been told to defend him even against his will. Mr. Habré was brought in court under high security. And the people in Burundi voted today amid widespread tension over President Pierre Nkurunziza's decisions to stand for a third consecutive term. And polls opened earlier this morning after a night of gunfire and explosions claimed 2 lives in the capital, Bujumbura. Euronews has more.
Burundi's chief of state has voted in the country's presidential elections. Many say Pierre Nkurunziza is violating the constitution by running for a 3rd term. Dozens have been killed in weeks of demonstrations and violence against the vote. Neighboring African states had called for the election to be postponed. After casting his vote, Nkurunziza said, "We have to allow the Burundian people to vote or to choose someone they trust, and also to choose the program that suits them best. Those programs will guide the people to choose the best candidate who will allow their country to develop and will also consolidate democracy and maintain peace and security in our country." Opponents of the president have boycotted the poll. One opposition official was killed in clashes just hours before voting got underway.
It's scenes of violence like this that the authorities in Burundi were hoping to avoid. But it's now known a police officer and a civilian have been killed in clashes overnight as preparations got underway for the country's presidential election. Explosions and gunfire have rung out around the capital, Bujumbura. Burundi is grappling with its worst crisis since 2005. There have been weeks of protests, a failed coup, and clashes between rebel fighters and the army. This man says what he most wants is security. "I want the country to be stable," he says. "Everyone should be protected and their safety guaranteed." 3.8 million people are eligible to vote in the election, which has been boycotted by the opposition. President Pierre Nkurunziza is running for a 3rd term. However, his opponents accuse him of violating the constitution by seeking another 5 years in office. Western donors and neighboring African states have urged Burundi to postpone the vote.
Still in news out of the country, Mexican taxi drivers have burnt vehicles, destroyed properties in an online protest as services tax and regulation. Leaders say they are not against technology but want a level playing ground. Euronews has more.
At least 9 people have been injured during clashes between 2 rival taxi driver unions in Mexico. The trouble started after members of one union held a march protesting taxi drivers who don't have permits, known as pirates. They accused the second union of harboring the pirates and held suspected pirate drivers face down on the ground. The first union ran into the main square holding sticks, throwing rocks, tearing down tents and setting cars on fire. Members of the second union have been camping out in the southern city of Chilpancingo for months, demanding the government issue more taxi permits.
That takes us to the second segment of this news. We shall be talking about small and medium-sized enterprises after the recent opening of a bank for business persons in that sector. Stay with us. Four years after the President of the Republic announced the creation of a bank for small and medium-sized enterprises, it was in the Bolowa 4 years ago, 2011. Here comes the bank finally. But what will be the benefit of persons who operate in the sector? Tonight we have a businessman, Mr. Siaka Shune. Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here to talk on behalf of small and medium-sized entrepreneurs.
How is business moving in your sector? Which sector are you?
I am into business consultancy and industrial engineering services.
How is business moving?
Slow but steady.
Slow but steady. Income, output?
We are going through economic recovery now in Cameroon, and the international business sector in the whole world is going through a slump. So it has affected even business people in Cameroon, not to talk of small entrepreneurs like us. So you can understand that we are just struggling to make ends meet.
So how do you get there? Where do you get your funds from? Funds for the business?
We struggle and compete with big businessmen in commercial banks in Cameroon to see how our projects can be financed, but we go through a lot of hurdles because to get a loan from a bank to finance a project, you need to put in a lot of collateral security. As young as we are, we don't yet have that much collateral security to put to get loans, so we are facing a lot of difficulties in getting loans to finance our businesses and projects.
So finally, what do you do? Maybe you go to Njangi houses, or
we most probably succumb to Njangi houses and money lenders who give us money at a very high interest rate, and you can understand the consequences that devastating to our business. That is why most small and business entrepreneurs are running out of business after 2 years of opening.
Now, what could be the role of financial institutions in Cameroon in helping these small and medium-sized enterprises, even with the coming, before the coming of the SME Bank?
As a matter of fact, to be very clear, these microfinances came as a booster to small and medium-sized enterprises, but with time we rather discovered that their interest rates were even more higher than those of commercial banks. So their role is a very tricky one in the business sector, and at one point you need to have personal relationships to get a fair rate for a loan in these microfinances.
What is the role of the government? Have you been having support, subvention from the government, maybe helping to boost?
As a matter of fact, it is not possible. The government has not really been coming in to help small and medium-sized enterprises, except for the fact that you see they come in with that their Paje. But Paje is not for entrepreneurs like us. It's for youth who just drop out of school. So the government promised us some 4 years ago that they would come on with a small and medium-sized bank for us, and fundamentally it was launched yesterday. We are looking to see what it will be.
Now you've made mention of that bank. Let's now talk about the creation of that bank. Do you really think that the bank is a stitch in time that saves nine?
As a matter of fact, it's a stitch in time that saves nine, but it's not yet operational, and we are looking forward to see that they meet the aims and objectives of the bank, because you know these big entrepreneurs and big companies, they are going to dive down again and on our necks and try to grab what we can grab from the bank, and we will still continue to languish in poverty. So we are calling on the government to make sure that this bank is strictly for entrepreneurs and for young and small, for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. Because as you know, the state of our country is that the fat get fatter and the tiny get thinner. So we want the government to put all the stakes and regulations to be practiced so that this bank should be strictly for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs.
Do you really think that the bank is coming too late after the head of state announced 4 years ago during the Pastora show?
As a matter of fact, it is coming very late, but it's better late than never. So as you earlier said, it's a stitch in time that saves nine. We are looking forward to gaining and benefiting from this bank.
Now, when will you start maybe sending your documents?
It is actually in Yaoundé. We are hoping that they are going to open an office here in Douala where we operate, so we can go to it and see into the modalities and see how we can work with them towards improving on the economy of this great nation that we want to make it to remain and stand firm.
But tell us, Mr. Siaka Eshune, somebody watching you right now may want to begin business. How did you begin your business? How was it like maybe to say I'm an entrepreneur operating a small and medium-sized enterprise, maybe before coming on to get some income as well as going in for loans from the bank, the new bank created? Because you talk of Page-U, you say Page-U is maybe for those beginners, those who have just graduated or those who are just. So what could be the difference?
The difference, Page-U, is for youths who just graduated from school. Some of us, we started business when we graduated, and we spent some time outside working before we decided to go to entrepreneurship. But I would say that it was not an easy start. It was not an easy start, but it just takes commitment, it takes determination, and it takes patience to be a successful entrepreneur.
You started like with how much?
If you meet a corporate lawyer to set up your documents to have a license as a businessman, it would take you from 1 million. You have to put in some money into the bank. As a matter of fact, with 3, 4, 5 million, you can start a small and medium-sized enterprise. Then you have to put in some money again into marketing. So before you know it, you're up to 10 million.
So it's not for the poor?
It's for those who have the will, and when there's a will, there's a way.
Now tell us, a part of the bank recently created and inaugurated in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, and a part of maybe other sub-loans that you may get, do you really have international support as far as your business is concerned?
I have struggled to get some international partners from abroad, but in that case, it's a personal effort and a personal initiative. It's not like there's a forum whereby you have to go, but we want to also give kudos to the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce. They have been organizing international seminars and bringing in businessmen from Italy. The Cameroon-Italy Business Forum was held here in Aqua Palace in Douala. The Cameroon-Turkey Business Forum, we had that in Bonanjo. We have had the Cameroon, other countries, business forums with other countries where big entrepreneurs from these countries come and they want to lease with small and medium-sized enterprises here so we can represent their products and their services. So I want to encourage all small and medium-sized entrepreneurs to always make sure that they go to the Cameroon Chamber of Commerce, register their enterprises there, and they will be informed when these people are coming in, and they'll be able to lease with them and improve on their business and improve on the economy of this country, and we'll be able to fight unemployment at our own level.
Now you are already moving into solutions. Now what could be the some of the solutions to problems plaguing this sector, small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon?
We have very good laws governing this sector. I want to say it here clearly, like I believe and I can strongly affirm it, that the problem with this sector is the application of the law. You have people who have been put in positions and they are not ready to apply it. You have people who are there, they are not ready to disburse the budget so that the youths can benefit from it and grow. They just block everything. I don't know what they want for this nation.
So do you think that policies are not being respected? It is the policies put in place, poor policies put in place that are not even respected. That could be the problem.
No,
could the creation of this bank really help, to flush all that aside?
The creation of this bank will only help to flush it if we put square pegs in square holes. People who are ready to apply the policies as they have been designed, because you see they'll bring in delegates whereby they will not be ready to work the way they have been designed to work. They will do things at their own interest. They will sign decrees, they'll hide them in the cupboards of their offices, and young entrepreneurs like us will not be able to benefit from it. And you see, and the country will be just in a stagnant position. So I'm saying that I'm calling on all the authorities that be, that this bank has come up. It's for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. The stakeholders and the board members